I'm backing up my truck, I'm gonna hook it up, loading up my boat with all my gear. I've been working hard all week, trying to make ends meet, spending time wishing I was fishing. Whoa, Terry Wickstrom wants to take you fishing. Gather up your gear and come along. Whoa, Terry Wickstrom wants to take you fishing.
This is Terry Wickstrom. Join Karen Cullum, Greg Claudio, and me as we take you to some of our favorite fishing spots from Colorado to Minnesota, the Arctic Circle to Central America and beyond. As we revisit episodes of Mountain States Fishing and Angling Adventures Television on the best of fishing with Terry Wickstrom.
Well, it's going to be quite a hike up here. We're up here today. We're at the beginning of the trailhead up the Zimmerman Reservoir. I'm with Bill and Billy Louthan. We're going to go up and fish Zimmerman Reservoir, which is a cutthroat recovery lake.
Great.
Now, you guys turned me on to Joe Wright Reservoir, and we did a great show there. I just had a blast. They wouldn't let me go here alone, though. They had to come with me. First, they don't think I'll be able to catch the fish. That's why I need them with. And second of all, they're just good people in the fly fishing industry. They're good instructors. They understand the area, and they like to get out and fish.
You got to be a little more prepared on this one than you were down at Joe Wright. Zimmerman is about 3/4 of a mile straight uphill.
So we have a little bit of a walk ahead of us.
Everything that we do, you want to go light. You want to go as light as you can with your waders. Don't carry in excess. Your belly boat should fit on your back with backpack straps. You should come up here with a 3 or a 4 weight rod. 5 weight is fine. You can get by with a 5 weight, but dress light. I even carry a water purifier, so I don't even have to carry water up with me. Just go up prepared.
Yeah,
like a lunch.
What we're referring to here is we have to hike up this hill. There's a nice parking lot with bathroom facilities and things, but it's a good walk up the mountain. And that's one of the reasons it makes it such great fishing and such a great experience, because you get away from the crowds, you get up in the mountains. In fact, the last time each of you was here, you saw moose.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see some today.
Every time I've been in, I've seen this. But as far as packing light, you also got to be prepared, as you can tell by the weather. With the clouds we're getting, that you never know what you're going to get up there.
We could get caught in a rainstorm up there.
Out.
Terry, we got quite a hike ahead of us.
Yeah.
It's 5 miles in, but only 1/4 of a mile back out. Feels like.
Well, one of the things you wanted to
3/4
talk
of a mile.
about is taking the right flow tube. Now, we're going to be fishing out of flow tubes. Show us a little bit about what you've got here.
This is a trout trap, and it comes with backpack straps, which is really going to come in handy here. And point it on the back, just put it on, just see how light that is.
Open back so your feet aren't hitting it every time you take a step.
You can't hardly tell it's on there, can you?
No, there's no weight at all. So with this, I can carry some other gear, walk up there, and really just carry my fly rod, and I could be headed up there. My fins and my jacket are there. But you could hook a lot of that stuff right on there.
Got plenty of pocket room for a raincoat if you had one.
And your fins, and you're ready to roll.
Just like this, and now I can freely walk up there, and it is quite a hike, but yet this gives me a way to get out in the water. Now, this probably would be a difficult lake to fish just from shore.
There's a lot of trees around it. There's going to be one area where you could conceivably, and you can. And fly fishing is a little bit better. The main food source of a greenback cutthroat is an insect. So lures and things don't work quite as well as a little dry fly. We're going to go barbless with probably size 18s and 20s, little elk hair caddis and mosquitoes.
And one of the things they've warned me about, as you that have watched the show know my fly fishing expertise, is we're going with real light tippets. And of course, being an old bass fisherman, I'm really hard on light tippets. In fact, when we were down at Decker's, I don't know how many fish I broke off setting the hook too hard with 5X tippets, so I guess I'll have to really be careful today.
Well, you and I are going to be with 6X, a young boy here. He can handle 7X, which I really can't. So but we'll land some fish.
Well, let's get up there and get started.
All right, let's load up. Here we go.
Let's go up the trail.
Bye.
You know, I'm glad wish you'd have told me about the backpack straps before I got here. I'll be a good example of how we should do it and how we shouldn't one time we get there, huh? I'm with Ken Kmeyer here, biologist for that area. Is that your actual title? Or?
I am the aquatic biologist for the North Platte, Laramie, and Poudre River basins.
And he's been kind enough to work with us as we're doing this filming up at Zimmerman Reservoir. And you're actually up here doing some work. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing up here today.
Well, in 1995, we came into Zimmerman Lake and reclaimed it, took grayling out because the fishing opportunity for grayling was available down at Joe Wright Reservoir. And came back in with greenbacks in 1996. And when we put the greenbacks in here, we brought them in from historical sites out of Rocky Mountain National Park and the South Fork of the Poudre. And each fish has an individual barcode tag internally implanted in it. So I have basically a name for every fish in this lake. When we catch a fish, if the tag is still available, we can weigh and measure the fish and get the tag number. And then when I go back to the office, I can determine what the age and growth of that fish has been, sex, where it came from, which historic site it came from.
You know, this, the greenback was on this is the only the cutthroats are the only native trout to Colorado.
Correct.
And the greenback cutthroat is a very specific species, and it was on the endangered species list. Now it's been taken from endangered to threatened because of the recovery, and this lake is one of the keys to your recovery of those fish, isn't it?
That's entirely correct. What we're doing here is we're bringing greenback into here, and then we'll take eggs from here to replenish our brood stocks in our hatcheries. Our hatchery systems are now geared up with greenback brood stocks that they're producing clean fish or disease negative fish that we can then put onto airplanes and stock in our high country back lakes to kind of relocate the native cutthroat back into its native range.
That's great. You know, and in the meantime, while you're doing that here, it's a catch and release fishery, but you've created this wonderful fishery, man. If we just look around at the scenery here, we've got a fair number of people fishing. It's about a mile hike in here.
Right.
And you park down, it's kind of at the top of Cameron Pass, and you can hike in from there. It's catch and release, but what a great opportunity to come up and enjoy. You can fish from shore, belly boat. What type of fishing is available here now? It's flies and lures only.
Flies and lures only. It's all catch and release fishing, and it was interesting back when we had grayling in here. The grayling were all averaged about 9 inches long. You'd come up here on a day like today and there'd be one person fishing here. When we did the reclamation, everybody said, I'm not sure people will walk that far just to catch a cutthroat. But what they didn't realize is they're going to catch the cutthroat, but it's our state fish as well. And so they have a very unique opportunity to catch the state fish in a high lake situation.
Well, it's a great setting. I mean, it's wonderful. And even with a few people here, it's peaceful. You're away from the highway. It's obviously there's no motorboats like you'd get in a metro or a warm water lake. And the fish, well, you said there's fish up to 17 inches.
Right.
Now you can expect to catch probably 8 to 12 inch fish.
Right. Most of the fish are going to be in the 10 to 12 inch, 13 inch range, but there are a few fish that have grown a little faster and are up in that 16 to 17 inch range and size, and they're probably measuring a pound and a half to close to 2 pounds.
When you come up here and catch and release a light fly rod, whether you're on shore or flying a bubble if you're not a fly fisherman, and 5 or 4 weight or 3 weight fly rod, and the surface fishing is great, and it's just a wonderful opportunity. And one of the things we try to stress on Mountain States fishing is to get out and experience the different opportunities that exist. You know, people see so much, and I've been fortunate. I fish a lot of the best waters in the world with some of the greatest fishermen, and we've caught lots of big fish. But I've been out with guys like Al Linder, and we'll be in a boat, and you'll be catching little crappies and stuff and panfish, and we're like little kids. I mean, you don't have to catch giant fish to have fun.
Right.
You go out and experience that setting. People get their expectations set to chase giant fish, and they get disappointed a lot. Now, if you can just go out and experience the outdoors, I mean, what a great day in the outdoors, and we're catching fish too, and having a great time. And there's so many of these opportunities, and this isn't the only opportunity. Tell us a little more about the area while we've got a minute up here.
Well, the Upper Cameron Pass is kind of a unique setting. We have a bunch of high reservoirs that are used for irrigation. Chambers Lake has Mackinaw and rainbow trout in it. Joe Wright Reservoir has one of the opportunities to fish for grayling. You can have great days of fishing for grayling at Joe Wright Reservoir. Lost and Laramie lakes are stocked with a catchable rainbow that provide fast action for family type oriented people. Long draw again gives you a cutthroat opportunity, and then as you go down the Laramie, you get into the Honholtz Lakes area, which are brown trout, and the river itself is a nice brown trout stream.
Now on long draw, are those aren't the native greenback cutthroat? That's a little different.
Right, they're kind of a mishmash of genetics that we as a state used to take eggs off of the backside of Pikes Peak in some water supply reservoirs, and those were kind of a mishmash of genetics up there, and now we've moved away from those and we're moving more towards greenbacks wherever we can.
Right, but long draw you can keep some fish too, I believe.
Right, two fish, and there's no size limit, but again, there's a fly and lure restriction.
Well, I tell you what, you've got some work to do, and in all honesty, I want to get back out fishing. But we really appreciate you working with us today, and you know, I can't stress enough that in a state like Colorado with the limited water we've got and the number of people, I think the division has done a great job. If any of you who watch Mountain States fishing on a regular basis know that the diversity of fishing opportunities that exist in Colorado in this area are just tremendous, and you've got to get out and join them.
Switched over to mosquito and made about 2 casts and took this little beautiful, you want me to bring him in? Caught this nice little one on about the second cast with that little mosquito. Been kind of throwing everything at him, and it seems like as soon as you put a fly on, 2 casts to fish, and 30 casts later you're switching to another fly and doing the same thing. So hopefully this mosquito will be the ticket for me. It's done well up here before with me. But we'll get him in here so we can check him for a tag and measure.
Boy, they're pretty.
Got pretty colors. Prettiest one I've caught so far. You want me to disconnect my net?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Come here. Come on. They seem to fight more when they get in the net.
Yes, they don't like being out of the water.
Alrighty.
Right.
Let's see if
this one has a tag in it too.
This one has the peppers that it needs.
and maybe this. See if this flies the ticket.
What'd you switch over to, Bill?
Little mosquito.
So it's a what size?
Probably a 20.
So another small fly.
Yeah, something you can't see as soon as you flick it out there.
So another one with the tag. You're pretty successful with these tags staying in these fish, Ken?
We have about a 70% retention time on these tags. Another 10-inch fish. Just a second, Billy, I'll have your net back to you. $150 grams.
Which is about
450 grams, so it's about 1/3 of a pound.
He's got another one on.
Oh, Bill's got one out there in the lake too. What kind of fly, Bill? What size?
18.
So most of the flies we've used have been, I've been using about a 16, 18, and the one I caught came on an 18. Most of yours, Billy, came on what size flies?
20s.
20. So seems like the flies up here need to be pretty small. He's got that on a 20. We've different flies, but they've all been in that 18, 20, 22 range. I tell you what, when you fight them with a 4-weight fly rod, these little fish give you some fight. They put a little bend in it and have a good time. know, Billy, you know, as fun as float tube fishing is, and it's such a great way to especially experience these high mountain lakes and some of the smaller ponds around the metro area even, it's really an inexpensive way for somebody to get into fishing and be able to explore the whole lake in these small lakes.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can get into belly boats starting from, you know, almost 50 bucks on up to, you know, whatever you want to spend. Decent pair of flippers and a pair of waders, and you can work all these reservoirs just so much better than you can from the shore, and without the hassle of a boat and the expense of a big boat.
Oh, you bet. And you can get into places that are closed to
yeah,
boats and just
with
have
all
the
the
peace
regular-
and quiet. Tell me something. Now, if I was to come say like a float tube, like that's one of the better float tubes at, what's the name of that again? The trout trap?
Yeah, the Trout Trap Triad.
Trout trap. And so get into a, say, a moderate price pair of waders, float tube like that, and a pair of fins. What's the average guy looking when he comes to your store?
Well, you're for an open front, which like we're in is kind of the newer generation. You know, they're gonna run you, they're gonna start at $100 on up, you know, to 2.5 probably. You can pick up your old round boats, which were great forever, for 50 to $100. So, you know, throwing a pair of, you know, is inexpensive as probably $150 for the whole waders, boots, flippers, float tube, on up to, you know, 3.5 for if you want to get into the breathables, the open fronts.
They're really good. In fact, we should give the folks a shot of the label on this. They're called the Trout Trap. They're made right here in Colorado. Just for packing into a place where you have to walk in like this, and being able to carry some other gear, and then to point it in the way it goes through the water. They're just a great float tube. They really work well. You know, you get in a place like this, or here we are, the lake is like glass, the trout are rising everywhere, we got a moose sharing the water with us. It's hard to really care if we catch a fish or not. I mean, oh, look at them rising everywhere. And we got your dad yelling at us because we can't hook up a fish. Well, look at it. Isn't that a majestic sight? Oh, that's incredible. Oh, they're such a powerful animal.
It's going to be hard for me to go in there and let him tag this thing.
Well, I don't think you have to save him yet because you can give us a mesh net. So he said go ahead and let him go, I guess, for now. Any size? Oh, they're pretty trout.
Decent little fish.
Now you caught that on a what? A number 20 elk hair
A
caddis?
little size 20 elk hair caddis. And I just let it set. I just wasn't moving it at all or anything.
Well, that's that little hook remover thing, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, we've got some weather moving in on us. Looks like we're going to get some rain. We're going to head out of here. I want to thank Bill and Billy, and I want to thank the Colorado Division of Wildlife for their cooperation, especially Ken Kmeyer, for helping us plan this trip and put it together. We've had a great time up here at Zimmerman Lake. If you get a chance, get up and try Zimmerman Lake, fish for the native Greenback Cut Throat Trout. Get out and try any of the fishing opportunities that exist in the Mountain States region, and join us next week on Mountain States Fishing.